Parisienne. I know which local bakery makes the best croissants. I can speak fluently to the man at the phone company, a bigger accomplishment than it sounds, and I can order a neatly flayed rabbit from the butcher without the slightest hesitation. We had spent the past 5 years in nearly constant motion. Gwendal founded a successful consulting company and realized his dream of working in the cinema industry. I had made the precarious transition from part-time journalist to full-time author. My first book, as well as our first child, was on the way. We had a flat with a working fireplace and some semblance of a bathtub. In our mid-30s, deeply in love, if completely exhausted, it was all coming together. When I was a child, I had projected myself ahead to this place. I'd waited my whole life to sit atop a well-tended mountain of accomplishments, admiring the view. But lately, there was another feeling creeping in. Call it lack of oxygen, battle fatigue. Maybe it was just the baby pressing firmly against my bladder, but it felt more and more like the mountain was sitting on top of us. When we came down dressed for dinner, there were already 4 glasses and a bottle of rosé on the wrought iron table outside. Our English hostess, Angela, appeared with a plate of croissant, breadsticks long and thin as a flapper's cigarette holder, and a small bowl of candied ginger. She was tall and elegant, with finishing school posture, her shoulders draped in layers of cotton and cashmere, with a dangle of silver earrings. Something in the way she kept her quick smile in reserve told me that she was the funny one. Her husband, Rod, wore pastel stripes that matched his pink cheeks. He had the bright eyes of someone who enjoyed crying at weddings and movies. We liked them instantly. "So what brings you to Céreste?" asked Rod, pouring a blush of wine into Gwendal's glass. Though no one ever got arrested for having a glass of wine while pregnant, particularly in France, I contented myself, begrudgingly, with sparkling water. Gwendal paused, trying to come up with an answer that wouldn't sound too much like we were on a pilgrimage. My husband is a great admirer of the French poet and World War II resistance leader, René Char. We knew Char had lived in Céreste during the war. Because I was entering my 3rd trimester and wary of flying, we decided to explore the Luberon, the landscapes and events described in Char's most famous poems. If that sounds like an odd premise for a holiday, well, I suppose it is. Then again, some people birdwatch. As soon as we mentioned Char, Angela put down her glass, disappeared inside the house, and returned with a small white paperback. "Have you read the latest book?" As it turns out, history was living just up the road. During the war, Char had a passionate affair with Marcelle Pons-Sidoine, a young woman from the village. They lived together and ran the local resistance network from her family's home. Marcelle had a daughter, Mireille, who was 8 years old in 1940. "She just published a book about her childhood with René Char," said Angela. "They're only a few houses up, on the left. Would you care to meet her?" Gwendal's eyes got excited, then bashful. I could see his French brain ticking away. But what will I say to a perfect stranger? It takes more than 10 years in bed with an American to cure a European of his natural reserve. In the end, curiosity trumped culture. There was no question of refusing. A phone call was made, polite greetings exchanged. Mireille would be happy to see us in a few days' time. Our appointment fixed, we settled in to explore the region. The next morning, while I read my book in the flower-filled courtyard, Gwendal went hiking. He needed to walk off the last few months at work. 2 years earlier, he had merged his little company with a larger entity and worked his ass off. He belongs to that rare genus of French workaholics. Now he found himself at the point where he no longer had strategic control. He was like one of those mimes pushing at the ceiling of an invisible box. He had a great salary, a fancy title, but was trapped nonetheless. Angela and Rod sent him up the trail behind the local cemetery to the neighboring village of Montjustin. On a clear day, you can see the snow-white summits of the Alps. Gwendal returned at noon, his dark hair slick with sweat, his boots muddy. As much as I